Well, we're here at the Fish Bites trading post, Rigs and Techniques.
Yes,
here at the CCA Workbench. Holy moly, I lost my mind.
Yes.
Because I'm so excited about talking about something that I used to love to do when I was a kid, dude.
Right, I gotcha. Well, we're talking about red snapper fishing, and primarily we're going to talk mostly about jigging for them.
Right.
Because it's a lot of fun. You know, you get into, you don't have to be in really deep water to catch red snapper sometimes, 150 feet, sometimes less, sometimes 90 feet if you're in a good spot. And you can, get a jig up and down pretty quickly and catch some big fish, and the bite is tremendous. Right. A red snapper hitting a jig is a really, it's a smack, and then, then the fun ensues after that. But what you're going to want to use is a rod and reel combo like this. This is the Penn Carnage rod. It's the 80 to 200 pound mono version on there. It's got all Fuji components. They make a spinning one and a conventional. If that's what you want to do, we got a conventional reel on there. That's the Penn Fathom 2 and a 40. It's a 2-speed. So when if you get one dogging you, you can just slip it into low and just keep cranking.
1-to-1.
And that's what you need to do. When you get a fish on, just like some of the boys were saying, once you get their head moving your way, you just got to keep cranking. Yeah. And that's what we do when we get a bite on anything other than a jig. Once we get a bite, we just start cranking. We don't lift because we're using circle hooks usually if we're not using one of these jigs. And so that's what we need to do is we need to keep them coming. So
there's a variety of different kinds of jigs, Dave.
Right. We've got several here. These are all Savage geared metal jigs. We got a needle jig, and we also have
the squish.
And the squish is called a squish because it's got a squid on one side and a fish on the other.
Right.
And these other needle jigs, they're long and slender. They're made, if you're in deep water and heavy current, those long and slender jigs, because they're heavy, they will get down through the current. They'll cut through the current and get you down to where you need to be. That squish one will stay in that strike zone for a little bit longer than the needle ones. But, we call it slow jigging now.
Slow pitch
jigging. It was always
the same jigging.
I know. It was always slow for me because after about the 4th or 5th drop, I was leaving it down close to the bottom as long as I could. Because, before we would jig them halfway up to the surface, you get a lot of amberjack bites. You get a lot of other stuff.
These big jigs were made to go real fast because they would do this real,
Right.
Otherwise, all you had was this and this.
Correct.
So now we slowed it down. Some dude wanted to think he invented something new.
Right.
I want you to know we've been fishing bucktails for 100 years.
Right. Keeping them down there close to the bottom.
Correct. And the difference is we were using that conventional style of jigging.
Right.
And you had your hands close. That's one of the reasons why I love it so much, is that when he bites that, you're only hopping a bucktail a few feet off of the bottom.
Right.
And now your hands are all right there together, and it's full contact fishing.
Yeah, you're hooked up when you're hooked up. And what's really cool about this also, we have that colored line on there, the Prospect colored metered line. You got 5 different colors on there. Every 20 feet changes, so you can really, not only do you feel the bottom, but you can figure out where that bottom is.
Correct.
And knowing ahead of time, say, I got to go down, 6 or 7 colors, and then boom, I'll be on the bottom.
Yeah.
It's a lot better, especially if you have guys on the boat who really don't know what the bottom feels like and whatnot.
Right.
So it really helps. And if we're not using the jig, we're going to be using these laser sharp circle hooks. A Circle C hook, a L2004, in a 9/0 to a 6/0,
6/0,
or the
10s and 12s.
Yeah, or the L222F as well is another one. And fish bites is always a great thing to have, because I'll on a regular chicken rig over there that we've got, or even on a jig,
right.
If you put a piece of fish bites on there with a squid and or a whole, sardine, that's a fish finder rig. I'll put a whole. Just past this weekend, I was putting a whole a grunt on there, a live grunt,
right?
Because we were catching big red snappers on Saturday, and just trying to find holes and stuff so we can go back and get them later.
We never have
when
enough
the season
time.
comes.
We never have enough time.
Yeah, make sure you vent those fish too if you're catching and releasing. Give them a good vent. Fold that pec fin all the way back, and stick it right there.
Make
at the
sure
edge.
you keep talking, and the producer's
Yeah,
gonna
I
fire
will.
your ass.
I will.
All right, Bree.
Dave can never stop talking. He has the gift of gab.
Good job, Dave.
Oh, yeah. Good job, Dave.
I just
All
wanted
right.
to make sure people knew how to let them go.
Yeah.